Hi everybody, WebFox here, and welcome to Fit to Read. Sorry this video is a bit late, but my comic shops were a bit behind for my comics for February, so I finally got them, I was able to read them, so I'm able to work on this video now. And starting off is Prometheus, Fire and Stone, Omega. And I gotta say that this is a pretty good closure to the whole Alien, Predator, Prometheus crossover thing. The art style goes back to the way it was back in the Prometheus comics, thank goodness. I love that art style, and it's a pretty good closure. And I gotta say that I'm starting with this first on the list because whenever I picked up one of those Alien vs. Predator or Prometheus comics, those were the first comics I read on my read pile when I come home with a pile of comics. But I don't know, quite a bit of these stories I really did enjoy, except for the Predator and Aliens. The Prometheus and Alien vs. Predator comics, like I said before, were pretty much must-reads for Aliens fans and Predators and Prometheus. So let's go ahead and take a look at this issue. Taking place sometime after the end of the Predator comics, our lone human survivors are surviving. They still have their alien guns, bow and arrows, not much else. They need meat to survive. They can't survive off the plant life much longer, so they go out hunting, where they come across their good old Predator friend to help out. But hark, up in the sky, it's the super android who survived from the end of the Aliens vs. Predator comic. He has come back to this dreadful planet, but for what reasons? All the characters converge. Will they be on the same team? Who's willing to do what to get what? Will they finally get off this planet, or will this be the end of them all? A very, very good read, I must say. Pretty much must read for Aliens and Prometheus fans. Not much Predator action going on here, but what little there is, it's pretty good. I like the Predator in this more than in the Predator comics. So all the characters that survived all the other comics, they all converge into here and sort of team up one way or another. The ending sort of putters out, but you do get some sort of answers to some of the questions from the comics and a bit from the movies. One thing I really didn't care for in this issue was that the Queen Alien that managed to survive all this long, they were able to kill her with a simple knife in her forehead. I found that to be very unbelievable, especially for a queen. But I did like that they showed off a new little xenomorph type from the animal life that's on the planet. So if you haven't been reading Prometheus and Alien vs. Predator, I say definitely get them up in the trades and then get yourself this issue. It's a good closer. Don't really need to read those horrible Aliens comics. And as for the Predator comics, enter at your own risk. I mean, they're not as bad as Aliens, but they're not as good as everything else. So, still dealing with alien planets and new life forms to the human race, we're moving on to Transformers vs. G.I. Joe, issue 5 from IDW. As much as I love reading all those Prometheus comics, I just love just to look at these Transformers vs. G.I. Joe comics. I swear, every panel has such movement, action to it. There's always something to draw your eye in each panel. A lot of this stuff could easily be posters. My goodness, I wish a lot of this stuff is posters. Our work is still up to its amazing standard as it has been the past several issues. The story, like in all the issues, sort of jumps around from panel to panel, so it does get a bit disorienting, but if you sort of connect the dots of who's saying what to where, you see where the story is and how it's going. Meanwhile, in the comic book, it picks up to where the last issue left off. Duke and Snake Eyes find Optimus Prime by accident, I guess, and they're now all three in a whole lot of trouble. Meanwhile, on Cybertron, still rocketing towards Earth, pretty much almost every G.I. Joe and Cobra agent is on the planet fighting every Decepticon and Autobot that's been seen so far. They're all converging in one place, Metroplex. Get a bit more history of the past of the Transformers and G.I. Joe. Not much, but we do get a bit more information, a little bit, on all the characters that are running around. Mainly from the little text boxes that give their name and brief description. Some secrets are revealed, but a lot of alliances are formed. The battles are getting tough. One excellent little note that I want to point out is that they didn't refer to Trypticon as Mechagodzilla. Now, that just gets me right here. And for those of you who don't get it, Trypticon is a big robot T-Rex, And it so happens that IDW, that does the Transformers and G.I. Joe comics, is also doing the current amazing run on the Godzilla comics. Beautiful artwork as always. The story is getting me more intrigued than G.I. Joe, more than anything that was G.I. Joe before. So I'm really liking G.I. Joe more just because of this comic, but there's also so much of my good old Transformers in here, in one form or another, doing their thing. It's just amazing so far. One problem that I do have is in one of the last pages, there's a picture of Megatron with his back turned to the panel. It's clearly drawn to be his back, but they have his weapons on his arms switched. So unless he actively ripped things off his arms to attach to the others, then the artist just sort of made a little goof up there. So that's just the one problem I had in this amazing book. And even though this whole book here, about 95 of it takes place on Cybertron, and then the 5% is somewhere else in the galaxy, the next issue is going to be back on Earth and the fight that's going on there. Because there was a lot of stuff that was happening there from what I last saw on Earth. So I'll have to see what's going to happen with what Autobots and G.I. Joes, Decepticons, and Cobra agents are still there doing. So, moving from another alien race to possible alien races, we're moving on to Marvel with Star Wars Issue 2. Now, I really loved Issue 1 of Star Wars. It had the character, the charm, pretty much everything that made the movies great. It was in that. It's what I loved it at all. It was so well written, and the artwork is great. And the artwork is still great in here too. It's just the story doesn't really hold up so well as continuing. Continues off where the last issue left off. Luke, who is foolishly enough going to try to get in a lightsaber fight with Darth Vader, even though I'm pretty sure he still hasn't used that thing before. Meanwhile, Han and Leia get a hold of an Imperial walker and, well, cause their own form of mayhem. Slaves are rebelling, got stormtrooper reinforcements coming in everywhere, blasters blasting, and Darth Vader flexes his force powers. My, what force powers he has. So this is taking place, the story here, sometime after A New Hope, so before The Empire Strikes Back. This issue taking place right after the last one. Artwork is still great as the last one, it's just that I'm not really caring for the story much in this. C-3PO gets blasted, so he's pretty much useless. Han's doing his thing with Leia backseat driving. I forget if Chewie was in here somewhere, and Luke isn't a Jedi yet, so things against Darth Vader doesn't go well. So, I don't know how long this story arc is going to last, but I think I'm going to have to give it a rest here. I don't want to keep shelling out the money for every month of a new Star Wars continuity that so far isn't fully developed yet, and also I have no idea what they're even thinking about doing. I'm going to avoid the Vader and Leia miniseries for now. Maybe I'll look into it later, but from what I've heard about the first issue of Leia, I'm no real hurry to getting that just yet. So, Star Wars, for now, adieu. But staying within the Marvel realm, we're moving on to Return of the Living Deadpool, Issue 1. Come on, it has Deadpool, it has zombies. Come on! Taking place some years where Night of the Living Deadpool ended, we find a lone girl survivor coming across a lone Deadpool. She tries to kill him, he tries to talk her out of it, but she knows it's best that they can't stay there, so they start hitting the road, and, well, it's a zombie comic after all. They find zombies. Zombies are okay and all, but it wasn't until they find more Deadpools that things start to go a little out of hand. So yeah, same continuity as Night Living Deadpool. So the Deadpool doesn't have other voices in his head, it's just his voice. The artwork is black and white as it is, except for Deadpool himself and the other Deadpools. And the artwork is very nicely drawn. And of course, what few zombies you do see, they do have that whole speaking while also tracking you down to eat you thing. So the minds that are speaking are not connected to the zombie body that's doing the eating. So I'm still kind of curious if it's actually a human voice coming out of the mouth or if you could actually hear their thoughts. I think that they implied last series that it was they're actually talking, but I don't know. I think it could go either way for me from the way the action is. So yeah, must read. I love it. It has my Deadpool. Hey Deadpool. It has zombies. You know how I am about zombies. And so, one last issue of Marvel for this month. It's S.H.I.E.L.D. issue 3. Mercenaries have taken over Doctor Strange's house while Doctor Strange is away. Of course, you should install locks. With all New York going bumping this night, it's up to Coulson and Spider-Man to get in there and put a stop to all this madness. With Rasputin in tow, they take on some mercenaries with some magical powers of some type and find out not only what they're doing, but how to stop it without getting lost or killed in this crazy house. Artwork is quite good. I'm loving the S.H.I.E.L.D. so far, except for those one-page stories in the back. They're still pointless to me. I see Rasputin in this series, so I guess there's a Rasputin in this continuity of Marvel, which I don't see why not. He's one of those real-life characters that every fictional guy would actually always like to write in their story somehow. Spider-Man was pretty good. I like the way that even when he was sort of a spiritual form or something, that he did try to do good things when bad things were happening, even though there's nothing he could have done. And also, this is a good little thing for people who are watching the S.H.I.E.L.D. show and want to get a little glimpse of what it's going to be like when Doctor Strange movie comes out. It's going to be a little bit something like this, I guess. So, pretty good comic. Like issue 1, it ends with nobody really knows the truth of why people are doing something. So, it's probably building something bigger like in season 1 of the S.H.I.E.L.D. show. So, we're done with Marvel. We're moving on to DC superheroes with Flash, Season 0, Issue 5. The Flash on the CW is my favorite superhero show right now. I just love the way it's filmed, the story, the writing, the characters. It is so comic book in TV form. So enjoying that show so much is making it really hard for me to try to put this comic down. Taking place during Season 1 of Flash and I guess Season 3 of Arrow. I've only seen the first 2 seasons so far of Arrow. Felicity Smoke is working with Ray Palmer and his company, so I guess they introduced him already. Meanwhile, Flash is taking on a metahuman in his own town. Just as Flash takes care of that water baddie, whatever his name was, Felicity is attacked by a bunch of guys in flight suits on the top of the skyscraper building that she's working on. So it's up to Flash to actually come and rescue her, which, by the way, will they actually hook up or not? Come on, guys. Do something. So all these guys with rockets, lasers, and jetpacks that look like they go almost as fast as Flash, but not quite, are out to kill Felicity. So it's up to Flash naturally to stop them and protect her. I already got issue 6, so I also read that. So this is pretty much like a one-shot, I guess, or sort of a little gap in any story arcs that's going on right now. As for artwork, it is pretty much all really good. I mean, unlike the last issues, which I thought they were pretty good themselves, this one actually gives more detail in the characters and the environments. It's almost like that somebody's actually inking in more things or doing those extra lines to show that there's shades and volumes to everything. More dimensions, you could say. I guess the only downside I could say is that it's like a lot of scenes where the characters' faces are medium to far away distance. It's like that their eyes are closed, like most of the time in issues 1 through 4 and in 6, as I'll talk about. It's like the characters are talking with their eyes shut or doing stuff with their eyes closed. I don't really get it. I guess it's just a lazy way not to put the whites and the pupils in, just to show that their eyes are closed, which is really horrible, which I'll get into later. But in this one, it's not really that apparent. There's quite a few spots where it was like they could have done the eye closed thing, but you do see the whites of their eyes, so they're awake. Pretty good. I gotta catch up on Arrow, but I am watching Flash, so I don't think this is much spoilers for me. Sorry for any spoilers to you. There's a Walking Dead comic at the end, so watch out for spoilers there. There will be. Alright, so let's stick with DC, but different continuity. We're going to G.I. Zombie issue 7. That's a crazy cover. I like the last ones better, but this one's just crazy. So as Gravedigger is interrogating the one guy that they were able to capture from one of their busts, G.I. Zombie and Agent King are trying to get out of the facility before it explodes. King is still hanging out with the higher-ups, so she gets a private jet to wherever the hell they're going, so away from that explosion, while Zombie, he has to figure out a way to either stop it or get out. So while the G.I. Zombie does his thing of being a zombie, King gets a bit more information on what's going on, but since there's only like a handful of people on the plane that left the facility, and this is the second facility that she was at where things went tits up, well, eyeballs are pointing at her quite quickly, so she's going to have to make a move fast. Like past issues, artwork, depending on where the character's standing, is going to be fabulous to smudges on the side of a car window. But the story's still going along. Bit of a repeat of a couple past issues of the events that's going to happen. But it seems like it's coming close to a climax. And there is some nice color scenes here and there where things sort of pop nicely. So this series coming to end, so I think I'll stick to the end then. Oh, and also there's quite a few ads in there for the iZombie show come to CW. So guys, please, iZombie, G-iZombie crossover on that show. Come on. Come on. Come on, come on. Come on. Come on. Anyway. So, sticking with superheroes, but moving on to a more independent route, we're moving on to Henchmen, I Hench, issue 2 of 6. Now, I probably won't be able to talk about 3 since I got 3 the same time I got 2. It's just that 2 actually came out all the stores this month, so when 3 comes out, I would already had it. So I'll probably just give that a skip, but I will talk about 4 because I want to finish this series. I'm liking it. So as for Gary, I'm not too sure if he just can't touch the money that he got from the robbery or he's already spent it for his living expenses, but it's time that he gets more money. So that means a job, and hey, what is he good at? Oh, that's right, recently, super villainy henchmen. So he asks around who's hiring. Thing is, all the henchmen know about his plans of doing a union and the fact that he cut out on the head pin of crime. So not only are they watching him, but they're going to make his life miserable. Of course, there's still talks about the henchbots coming, and the head pin of crime is on a work release program, so to speak, to, you know, help things. So this is the 3rd issue in the series, but the 2nd of this miniseries. I've already read the issue that takes place after this. I bought all 3 at a convention together, so I just sat down, read all 3. This book is in black and white, unlike the I Henchman, or no, not I Henchman, but Henchmen #1, I should say, where that was in color. But these are in black and white, but it is very well drawn. The shading's quite good. I'm liking how they got different types of villains and their sort of stories, and the fact that there seems to be a superhero to counter each one with their own abilities that to just simply crush the villain. So I'm really liking this. I can't wait for issue 4 of this miniseries, or 5 of the whole series, you should say. And I'm going to be sticking with this and hopefully be talking more about it. I'm sure I'll see the creators of that comic at more cons. But moving on to my bread and butter, because I like bread, I like butter, even though bread and butter makes you fat. They do. We're going on to Archie with good old Sonic the Hedgehog issue 269. Yeah! Variant cover. Starting off with a good old flashback to Sonic the Hedgehog 2 on the Game Gear. We then get into the main fights themselves as the Sonic Champions games begin. First fight is a quick one with a obscure cameo from the Sega Saturn days. Knuckles is prowling around looking for charge of the Master Emerald, while Sonic is trying to hide his secret from everybody. I gotta say, the artwork in this is an improvement over the last issue, where characters, where they're a bit distanced away from the panel, they don't look so scratchy. They actually look like that they were nicely drawn and detailed. One thing I didn't care for is that there's clearly 5 fights in this issue, but the announcer only mentions 4 of them. So, kind of wonder if that was a continuity error, or did some of those fights didn't really matter. Either way, we haven't seen all the fighters fight yet, and where's that Metal Sonic? It's hard for me to tell what my favorite fight is. I guess it might be the Honey versus Tails fight, but Bean has his fight in this, and being my favorite character, I gotta say that it's scary what he does. The tournament has begun, as it looks like we gotta look at most of the fighters. Looks like there's only one I don't recognize. It must be a cameo from some other Sega game I don't know of. But everybody else is pretty much from the story, except for that first cameo of Sonic. So, pretty good reads. Just pretty much a lot of action. Not too much talking. So, I can't wait to see how this keeps going. And it looks like there's a couple nods to a couple of Sonic in-game companies, too. I haven't played all the Sonic games, so I guess they're brought up at some point. And I gotta say, on this variant cover, I don't know why, but Silver the Hedgehog's there for some reason. I don't know. I guess maybe it could come up later in the story. Guess, have we even seen him in this universe yet? I don't know. Anyway, so yes, good read. Got 2 here of the champions, so we got 2 more of the story arc. And so, sticking with Archie, we're moving on to Sonic Universe issue 72 with the little Love Maker cover. Yeah, go ahead and make your choices. This issue starts out pretty quickly enough. Introduction of the red star rings to this Sonic universe. This popping up mysteriously and way more powerful than any magic ring. The red star rings is naturally the breakthrough of what they need for clean energy, which, of course, everything's about energy with these guys. Chaos Emeralds, magic rings, power gems, nuclear reactors that overload. There's always something that they need electricity for. We get a lot of flashbacks from the few characters about how things were before Nicole was around or just after she came to be. As for the characters themselves, Sally and Big get some quality time. Of course, he's never really much of a talker. He's more of a fisher, and yeah, that's about it. Meanwhile, Nicole secures computer systems and just explores the digital world a bit to make sure that everything's a-okay there. Very good artwork. The story is a bit of a slow pace here. There's like 1 scene of action and a bit of suspense. It's mostly flashback, I say, and a bit of character development of the introduction of the new Doctor, and try to get some more backstory of the new Nicole. I do like that it's showing out some classic badniks in here from the like Sega CD and other games. And we got the Red Star rings introduced, so see what that does with future stories. So that was issue 72 of Sonic Universe. Oh, look at that. It's issue 73. Taking place the second where the last issue left off. Seems like Sally found a little secret spot of the good Doctor. Meanwhile, Nicole finds that nasty computer program that's been causing trouble with all the badniks and the systems around there. Things are not to go well for either team. We get some more backstory on the Doctor and Nicole, and to the evil computer program, as it's revealed of who it works for and its purpose. Plenty more flashbacks and strong hints of who or what the computer program that is there to ruin their day. This story is really a Nicole and Sally story, but I gotta say that this whole story arc is really about Nicole herself, and there's nobody closer to Nicole than Sally. Big and Tails are there. They spend like half a page sleeping and then an hour half running away. So they're not doing much, but I'm sure that coming up in the last issue that they'll make more of an impact. So yeah, this is quite interesting. So last month we didn't get a Mega Man but 2 Sonic Booms. This month we don't get any Sonic Booms, but we get 2 Sonic Universes and 2 Mega Mans. Mega Man 45 taking place shortly after 44. Mega Man's returning home and seeing it ablaze and being guarded by Breakman. Inside, Dr. Wily and his new robot, Doc Robot, lame name, which has the powers and personalities of 8 past robot masters, are causing trouble and setting things ablaze until Dr. Light is willing to give Wily Gamma, the giant robot the size of a skyscraper that's supposed to stop calamity in the world but could easily be used to destroy the world. Leave it to the evil Dr. Wily to push Dr. Light's buttons, and with a good threat and a lot of force is able to get his way. Meanwhile, outside, Breakman and Mega Man have a not so heart-to-heart talk as they battle. This issue is a lot of down notes, but it's just so that we have reasons for action and upper notes later on in the story arc. So that was 45. The artwork is not my style. I prefer a lot of the past stuff. This is like, I don't know, it's just not realistic, but it's just sort of like not Mega Man cartoon style wise, like a lot of the other issues that I really did like about. Sort of make it really felt like those old classic video games. Pixelized. But no, this is something different. I'm not caring for the artwork in this story. But the story itself is okay. I mean, it's just, you pretty much see where it's going. It's just Wily is getting his thing and Breakman slowing Mega Man down, but not really going to try to kill him. Or is he? Mega Man 46 takes place right where Mega Man 45 left off. Thanks to Breakman, Mega Man knows where Wily's new castle is. But he has to get through Breakman first. Fully recharged and repaired, it's up to Mega Man to get past Breakman and somehow then get past anything else that's inside Wily's castle. The whole issue is just one long fight between Mega Man and Breakman. Dr. Light gets a page, Wily gets 3 pages as they do their plans while the fight goes on. But it's really about the emotions and the feelings between the 2 robot brothers, between each other and the way that they've had their lives. They hurt each other, both physically and emotionally. I know that Archie is doing a good job of keeping in line with the stories of the video games, but how close will these brothers ever get again in these comics? So the 2 brothers are pretty much spending the whole issue fighting and talking, which is, I gotta say, pretty awesome. I mean, we don't really get to see them fight that much or talk even that much in any of the past issues. 45, sure, is pretty much what they did, but it was like less than half the issue doing that. The other half was Wily and Light talking, or Light talking to Mega Man and repairing him for the next fight, which is in here. So it's great to see that they're actually having some brother time together, even though that they're shooting at each other the whole time. As for the art, it's same as last time, but there's a continuity error, where as you see in the last couple pages of 45, they fix a cut on Mega Man's chest, but he starts out in this issue all the way to the end with that cut back. So apparently somebody forgot that, hey, they fixed that. What, as soon as he transported, the cut opened up again? That doesn't seem right. Alright, so that's most of the pile down. Just going to wrap it up quickly. We're moving on to Image Comics with Tooth and Claw, issue 4. So the Bisons are biding their time while the Coyote Trader is snaking away into the minds of everybody there. The Champion, who clearly has military experience, is off doing scouting missions and also planning how to do defenses. It becomes clear in this issue that the Champion is quite smart, as is pretty clear that he knows how this game is being played and how pretty much most of the players are that's on the board at the moment. What is unclear though is that if he actually cares for the other beings around him, or he's just using them to make sure that he doesn't die in his new world that he has still nothing unknown about. Another question that I don't think anybody's really asking that much yet is, how is he supposed to bring back magic? Artwork is still going amazing. The story is, I guess, not really world building on this one, not too much. We really get a little bit more of the Champion's backstory, just a little bit on his life. But mainly it's about the here and now, and what characters are doing what, and how that's affecting everybody. So maybe the next issue we probably just, well, then I don't think we'll get more world building in the next issue, but we'll definitely see what happens. But I'm liking the series so far. I'm definitely going to stick around a few more unless they do a big turn or something. And so, to avoid spoilers, you can stop now because we're ending this with The Walking Dead. Yeah, spoiler, if you saw that cover, you know that at some point Carl loses an eye. There you go. So Carl is able to talk the prisoner girl to have her come out under his custody as they explore the area. Meanwhile, the families of the 2 boys that are just monsters against Sophia are just yelling their heads off at Maggie. And she doesn't care because she knows that the boys were in the wrong and the families are in the wrong. Everything that's going on here is all about the hilltop. We don't know anything that's going on in Alexandria. We still haven't seen the kingdom or anywhere else in the world at the moment. It's pretty much just all been here. About Maggie, Carl, prisoner girl, and all the tension that's built up and is boiling over. Thing is, who's going to strike first? The people on the inside of the wall or the people on the outside of the wall? Anyway, so that was a lot of comics for February, but we're now here in March. A lot more comics to come.